If you don't know about flyer deals on Instacart, this message is for you. Flyer deals are like strolling through your favorite store looking for deals, but you're scrolling your phone, and maybe you're in bed. Because getting delivery doesn't mean you have to miss deals like you'd get at the store, like the one creamer that doesn't make your stomach hurt, or the pasta sauce you can't not buy when it's on sale. So download the Instacart app, shop flyers, and never miss a deal on one of your favorites. Plus, get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes.
Get ready to dive deep into one of the most gripping legal battles of our time. I'm your host, Jim Chapman, and today we're unraveling the high-stakes drama surrounding one of the music industry's most enigmatic figures, Sean Diddy Combs. In a case that has captivated millions, the courtroom has become a battleground for fame, fortune, and the dark secrets that lurk beneath the glittering surface of celebrity life. As the gavel comes down, we'll explore the allegations, the testimonies, and the shocking twists that could change the course of Diddy's legacy forever. Was this case merely a clash of lifestyles or something much more sinister? With each episode, I will bring you exclusive insights, analysis, and witness testimony accounts that will leave you on the edge of your seat. So buckle up as we embark on this thrilling ride through the trial of the century, where the stakes are high, the drama is real, and the truth is anything but certain. This is the trial of Sean Combs. Let's get started. And we are continuing today, Thursday, May 29th of 2025, and just a quick catch up on what happened yesterday during testimony. Christopher Ignacio, a LAPD officer, testified about responding to a break-in at Kid Cudi's home in 2011. The Cadillac Escalade that cops saw leaving that scene was registered to Bad Boy Productions, one of Diddy's companies. Ignacio said the break-in wasn't reported as a burglary. He confirmed during cross-examination. Lance Jimenez, a LA Fire Department arson investigator, also testified and told jurors he found a Molotov cocktail inside Kid Cudi's burned Porsche in early 2012. Jimenez characterized the car fire as a targeted crime in the government's indictment against Diddy. If you'll remember, arson is one of the crimes listed under the racketeering conspiracy charge. Deonte Nash also testified, probably my favorite witness thus far. He's a celebrity stylist, and he testified he once jumped on Diddy's back to keep him from beating up Cassie. Nash also said he was thrown off, and Sean Combs continued striking Cassie until she hit her head on the bed frame and started bleeding. Nash also testified that Diddy threatened to send sex tapes of Cassie to her parents' workplaces to get them fired. And also, I announced yesterday that Cassie gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. This was 2 weeks after she testified, and it's her third child with husband Alex Fines. So that's your catch up from yesterday. Go listen to that one if you haven't thus far. And we're picking up today with the continued testimony of everyone's favorite stylist, Deonte Nash, stylist to the stars. And the defense brings up actor Michael B. Jordan right out of the gate when they start questioning Nash. Nash did confirm that he set Cassie up with actor Michael B. Jordan after Combs allegedly was cheating on her. Nash said that Ventura found out Combs had been with another woman when she was in South Africa for a movie shoot. This was in 2015, and she also testified to that. And unprompted, according to Nash, he offered to set up Cassie Ventura with actor Michael B. Jordan while she was on that movie set. Nash said her and Diddy were broken up at the time, and he wanted to set him up. The exchange actually went like this. Diddy's attorney said, quote, "You hooked Cassie up with Michael B. Jordan, right?" And Nash replied, "Indeed. He fine, she fine. Why not?" Ventura and Jordan then started talking, dating, getting to know each other, etc. Nash also confirmed that Ventura dated Andre Branch, who is a former NFL linebacker. This was around 2017 when Branch was playing for the Miami Dolphins. And then the defense started showing text messages back and forth from Deonte to Cassie. One of them said, quote, "I already said I'm going to ask Puff if I can go, but I've been turning up too much lately." So the defense attorney asked Nash what turning up too much meant, and Nash said that likely meant they were going out too much. And I guess the defense here is trying to paint Cassie as a party girl. Defense attorney Donaldson then asked about a time in 2013 or 2014 when Cassie Ventura told him the videos that Diddy was threatening to release showed her with other men. Remember, I told you about that yesterday. Nash confirmed that even though they had been close since 2008, this was the first time he learned she was having sex with other men. Some things you won't even tell your stylist, right? Quote, "She kept that part of her life secret from you?" Donaldson asked, and Nash responded, yes. Donaldson then suggested that Nash's testimony about his account of Cassie Ventura's 29th birthday party during the prosecution's examination yesterday didn't match what he told prosecutors about the incident in a pretrial meeting. Now, just a reminder, Nash testified yesterday the night they celebrated Ventura's birthday. Sean Combs and Ventura, they started arguing at dinner, and Combs told her he did everything for her, but she couldn't do this one thing, meaning a freak off. But Donaldson suggested the government's interview notes didn't reflect those details. Nash also didn't tell prosecutors that he saw Combs pointing in Ventura's face in a corner of a karaoke bar that night, even though he testified just yesterday to that. And Nash had a pretty good response to that. He said he's testified several times and he didn't want to expand on many things with prosecutors during those pretrial interviews because he never wanted to be involved in the case. He basically said, "I had to be forced to testify." Donaldson then brought up Nash's previous testimony about a trip to Las Vegas over New Year's. This was in 2016 or 2017 when he saw a man enter Cassie Ventura and Sean Combs' hotel room. The celebrity stylist confirmed that he left their room after Ventura said Combs wanted to invite another man over. And Donaldson suggested that since Nash left without asking any questions, he must not have had any concerns about Ventura's safety. And Nash responded with, "I always had concerns about her safety." Donaldson then said, "But this situation, you left the room anyway." And Nash said yes. Nash then testified that he stopped working with Sean Combs in 2018, but they kept in touch afterwards, and he said a little bit of that yesterday. The jury then saw some text messages back and forth between Nash and Combs from 2019. Nash messaged Combs and said that he was sending love, and Combs responded with, "Yeah, right. We was fam." And he added that he was disappointed. Combs then referenced, quote, "the trainer," which was an apparent reference to Alex Fine, Ventura's current husband, and he was formerly her personal trainer that Diddy actually hired. And then Combs texted, quote, "On a real note, how is she? Make sure she's all right." And with that, Nash was dismissed and left the stand. And next up, the prosecution called a witness identified as Mia to the stand. And prosecutor Madison Smizer will handle the direct examination of her. And the judge stopped when she got to the stand, and he told the jury that Mia is testifying under a pseudonym, but that the jury will learn her real name. He said a passport of Mia's bearing her true name and date of birth was submitted into evidence under seal, and only the jury will be allowed to view that. So who is Mia? Well, she was Sean Combs' former assistant. Now, prior to working for Sean Combs, she worked for comedian Mike Myers as his personal assistant. So she was pretty experienced working with very well-known people. After that, she was hired by Combs, and she worked with Combs from 2009 to 2017, a good long time. And Mia testified that she worked for Combs in two roles, a personal assistant and then later a director of development and acquisitions for Revolt Films. Mia described the work environment with Combs as chaotic and toxic. Imagine that. Quote, "It was toxic. It was chaotic. It could be exciting. The highs were really high and the lows were really, really low. Puff's mood determined the atmosphere," she said, and his mood shifted all the time. She went on to say that there were several ways Combs has been violent with her. Quote, "He's thrown things at me. He's thrown me against the wall. He's thrown me into a pool. He's thrown ice buckets on my head." She said that Combs also sexually assaulted her on more than one occasion. She testified that she was 25 or 26 when she first applied to work for Combs. And she said as part of the interview process, Mia went to Combs' apartment to meet with him along with the head of human resources. She testified that Combs answered the door in his underwear, and the head of human resources introduced them and left. Imagine that. You're going for your first interview, and Sean Combs is standing there in his underwear. She did note that he later put more clothes on. Mia said she was told she would work 40 hours a week, but testified that she always worked more than that, and that her starting salary was around $50,000. Man, he didn't pay his people shit. She testified that she didn't sleep during her first 24 hours on the job. She initially thought it may be kind of a challenge as part of her 2-week probationary period, but she said that working long hours with little sleep turned out to be the norm. And of course, many people have testified to that. She said she often didn't sleep for days when she was working. She recalled one time working for 5 days straight without sleep. She said she had to use extended release Adderall to help her stay awake. Now, when she finally had a breakdown from exhaustion, she said she was crying uncontrollably. Sean Combs told her that she could leave and go to sleep. What a nice guy. The jury was then shown a list of some of Mia's job responsibilities that she sent to another employee back in November of 2011. Mia testified that she wrote the list after Diddy, who she referred to as PD, which stands for Puff Daddy, made a threatening comment questioning what she did all day long. So some of the items on that list included all of Puff Daddy's social media presence, main liaison between Puff Daddy and Hollywood, Puff Daddy's daily routine, keeping him on schedule, protecting him at all times, staying within Puff Daddy's sight unless he advised otherwise, always while on duty, maintaining Puff Daddy's daily routine in both professional and private circles from the minute he wakes up in the morning until the minute he falls asleep at night, anticipating his needs, whims, and moods. She also wrote that Combs could ask her to do 17,000 things at one time, ranging from, get this, cracking his knuckles to writing his next movie to doing his taxes. She also testified she had an apartment in New York City, but her roommates joked that they lived with a ghost because they never saw her. She said she traveled with Combs and stayed wherever he was or in staff housing. She said she wasn't allowed to leave Combs' homes without his permission. And she recalled one time in 2009 or 2010 when she left the home late at night after Combs had fell asleep. She said after she left the house, Combs' security called her to let her know Combs had sent them to go find her. Quote, "I got in big trouble." Mia said she was not allowed to lock her door when she stayed in Combs' homes. She said that Combs would say, "This is my house and no one locks my doors." She went on to say that Combs' security personnel were allowed to lock their doors One security guard's room held the home security system for the entire place. She said there was also a lot of getting cursed out, humiliated, and berated when she worked for Diddy. She went on to say she was only his personal assistant for about a year, and that was difficult. Then Assistant U.S. Attorney Madison Smizer asked her how she felt during that time, and Mia responded, "I didn't have time to feel, but like insane," unquote. Mia said that Combs gave her a pep talk when he told her that she would temporarily be the only assistant and positioned it as if we were going to be doing this as a team. She said the fact that Combs believed in her made her want to prove herself to him. Mia explained that she and Combs started the Revolt film production company together, and it was a separate entity from his Revolt TV brand. Mia said she had been essentially running Combs' film production company for years and had finally gotten the title that reflected her work. She said working at Revolt Films was her dream and that working on TV and film projects was, quote, overwhelmingly awesome. Mia said she was still doing some personal assistant duties when she started that new role at Revolt, and she said her starting salary was $70,000. A few years later, it went up to $100,000. And then the conversation got into Cassie Ventura, and Mia testified she met Cassie through Combs and that they became like sisters. She said, "We were like best friends, sisters, and we are still friends today." When asked to describe Diddy and Cassie's relationship, she said the relationship was, quote, unequal and toxic, and it was a cycle of highs and lows, that he was abusive towards her. She said Combs was in charge of Cassie Ventura's music career, and he always made the final decisions. Quote, "Those decisions would range anywhere from deciding like what music would be put out, the visual aspects of any videos, when she would be in the studio, her appearance, or any sort of shows or appearances or dates or promotions that she would be involved in." Mia said she was privy to a lot of the goings on in Combs' label because many people would contact her to get answers from Combs. And she said she often sat in on meetings with Combs and Ventura that concerned Ventura's career. And then the jury was shown an email Cassie sent in April of 2012 to not only Sean Combs, but Mia, Capricorn Clark, who testified just a few days ago, and others involved in her music career. And the message said, in part, quote, "I have been informed that I cannot perform on Monday due to the overages in cost. I've worked very hard, but I cannot support myself on the things that I need to do in order to move forward and make this show happen and run smoothly." Combs responded to that email sent by Cassie by telling her to reach out to another executive, saying she wasn't ready and that she doesn't want to embarrass herself again. Ventura responded to that email by saying, "If that were the issue, I would. So since you no longer want to support your artist, I have to pull out. No label support, no show." So Cassie is getting kind of in a pissing contest here with Diddy, right? Mia said that when Sean Combs would visit a movie set that Cassie was working on, the production would stop. Quote, "Everyone would get really nervous and he would ask a lot of questions and sort of insert himself." And she went on to discuss how Combs controlled Ventura, and especially as it relates to her appearance, saying he was in charge. Mia said that she would send photos of Ventura's outfits, hairstyles, and nails while she was at the salon just to get Combs' approval. She testified that Diddy and his companies paid for Cassie Ventura's homes and cars, and that Combs would take those items away all the time when he got upset with her. She went on to say that Combs would dictate when Mia could spend time with Ventura, but it was usually to keep tabs on Cassie or get in touch with her through Mia. Mia said that she and Ventura were not allowed to go wherever they wanted, when they were together. She went on to say when they did something without Combs' permission, something bad and very scary would happen. Quote, "Punishment was typically unpredictable, but typically pretty terrifying." She testified that Combs would reach out to Cassie repeatedly when they weren't together, and if Ventura wouldn't answer, there would be multiple people calling, texting, and emailing trying to find her, or security would randomly show up. Mia said she saw Combs attack Cassie, throw her on the ground, chase her, and crack her head open. Mia testified that she never saw Ventura fight back. Quote, "I've just seen her with her arms up to try to stop him." And that's typical of everything we've learned. She said the first time she saw signs of violence between Combs and Cassie, Ventura was at his home in Los Angeles. She said she heard thuds against the wall coming from his second-floor bedroom, then saw suitcases fly over the railing into the foyer below. Mia said she saw Ventura hiding behind a bush outside of that home, and Ventura was crying and shaking. Quote, "She had the most terrified look in her eyes." And she also recalled that Cassie waved her hands to signal to Mia that she should not reveal where Cassie was hiding. She also recalled a time she and celebrity stylist Deonte Nash were at Cassie's apartment and they were trying to help her pack for an upcoming trip. She testified Combs showed up at the apartment, banged on the door, and came inside and began screaming at Cassie. Quote, "Have you been drinking?" She said Combs was crazy aggressive and began to attack Ventura by throwing her to the ground. Quote, "Me and Deonte immediately jumped in and tried to stop it. We were both just trying to get him off of her." Quote, "At some point, he had Deonte in a position where I was like scared. He was going to kill Deonte, and I jumped on his back." And y'all remember, Nash testified about this exact situation yesterday as well. She went on to say, quote, "He threw me against the wall so quick and so easily, and I realized we were in real danger." She then testified that Combs followed Ventura into a bedroom. Quote, "He slammed her head into the corner of the bed, and Ventura's head started gushing blood." She said when the attack eventually stopped, Combs told Mia to get in touch with an assistant to schedule an appointment with a plastic surgeon to fix up the gash on Ventura's head. He told Mia to say Ventura fell because she was drunk. Mia said she followed Combs' directions because she, quote, "thought that was the only way to get her help and because Puff told me to." So then the prosecutor, Madison Smizer, asked Mia to describe how Combs appeared during the incident. And she said his eyes turned like black and there was like no getting through. Like I was trying to get him to stop and it was like he looked right through me. Mia testified that it was the first time she realized, quote, "the severe danger that we were actually in." And she noted that Combs did not appear to be under the influence of any drugs during the attack. You know, the defense has been using the whole drug thing for why he acted the way he acted. She's saying he didn't look like he was on drugs here. She then recounted an incident at a 2010 party hosted by Prince, one of my favorite artists of all time, in which Prince's security had to intervene when Combs attacked Cassie Ventura. Mia testified it was the night after an award show, and Combs told Mia to stay with Ventura at a hotel to keep her company because he was going to be with his kids. She said a friend called and told Mia and Ventura about a party at Prince's house. Quote, "Cass and I debated like little kids if we should sneak out of the house for probably what felt like forever. So they ultimately went to that party, and she said we were having fun dancing and watching Prince perform, and then Combs arrived." Mia recalled seeing his bucket hat and those two locking eyes. Mia and Ventura took off running out of the house, but she said Puff caught Cass. Quote, "He caught up to her and had her on the ground. He started attacking her, but Prince's security swiftly intervened." Shout out to those guys because his own security didn't do shit. Mia left and spent the night at a different hotel. She then testified the next day the head of human resources contacted her and told her Combs was suspending her without pay for being insubordinate. She said the HR employee did not mention anything about Combs' behavior from the night before. Mia then testified that she went on a trip to Turks and Caicos with Combs and Cassie Ventura in 2012. She said she witnessed violence from Combs towards Ventura more than once. on that trip. Quote, I was woken up to Cassie running and screaming in the room. She was screaming for help and saying, you gotta help me. He's gonna kill me. She went on to say that Cass is normally very chill, calm, and it was like the most terrified someone screaming for their life that I've ever seen. She and Ventura pushed furniture towards the door, but Combs caught up to Ventura, banging and screaming at the door. She said they ran out of the back of the room, through the patio, and onto the beach to hide. She and Ventura then took paddle boards they found on the beach and paddled out to sea while Combs was running back and forth on the beach behind the house. Could you just picture that? Screaming at us. She described Combs as irate. Mia said they got far out into the water, but then the weather started to take a turn. She said they were trying to decide if it was scarier to face Mother Nature or go back to Puff. Eventually, they went back to shore. She also testified about some of the injuries she would see on Cassie Ventura, saying, quote, I would see bruises on her body, fat lips, busted eyebrow, like that gash on her forehead, black eyes, things like that. She said there were multiple reasons that she never reported any of these instances. She testified that, quote, I believe that Puff's authority was above the police. There was a period where years and years before social media or Me Too or any sort of example where someone had stood up successfully to someone in power, such as him, she said Combs also constantly stressed confidentiality. She was taught to believe that the violence she witnessed fell under the requirement of loyalty she had to Combs' business. Quote, I was supposed to protect him from people. So many people were trying to blackmail him, she said, and I came to believe that reporting anything was blackmail. Mia also testified that Ventura stayed in hotels to hide her injuries, saying that when she visited Ventura at a hotel while she was recovering, they were not allowed to leave the room. She went on to say Ventura would eventually leave after her injuries had healed up enough to cover them up. She also discussed the time during which Cassie was dating Kid Cudi, and she said Combs did seem heartbroken. Quote, instead of just mad, Puff was upset. Normally, he was just angry and aggressive, and this time he felt like almost a dark calm before the storm. And she added she was bracing herself for something really bad to happen. Mia also testified that Cassie Ventura had visible injuries during the 2012 Cannes Film Festival. Mia recalled she saw Ventura's busted lip and other injuries in a hotel room with Ventura's hairstylist. She said Ventura played a recording for her where she could hear Combs yelling at Ventura as he attacked her. She said she could hear, quote, the sound of someone getting hit and being attacked, essentially. She also said that during a movie premiere at Cannes, she saw Combs aggressively talking to Ventura through gritted teeth and digging his nails into her arm. And remember, Cassie testified to that as well. She testified that it was often her job to clean up hotel rooms she had set up for Combs and then girlfriend Cassie, doing a sweep for anything potentially damaging to Diddy's reputation. Mia said it was standard procedure to sweep the rooms to make sure there wasn't anything a housekeeper could take to TMZ. She said the rooms would be a nightmare with baby oil, candle wax, and sometimes blood to clean up. Mia said Combs told her it was period blood. It was also Mia's job to take Combs and Ventura to the hotels and set up those rooms. She said she'd unpack toiletries, including lotions, baby oil, and lubricant. She said candles were always on the list and that those candles had to be white, and if they were Glade, the label had to be ripped off. She didn't go into why that was. Mia would also be on call in case Combs asked her to bring something. Mia said she was often with Cassie Ventura before she had a hotel stay with Diddy, and she recalled one of those instances that stood out to her in her memory. She said they were in Ventura's car. It was in Los Angeles, and Cassie received a message. She said, quote, she got a message and was very upset and added that Ventura told her Puff wants to have a hotel night. Freak off, right? and that Cassie seemed visibly upset. And she expanded on that further by saying she was more like nervous, really nervous. She started getting stomach issues because of it. Mia then testified that the first time she took drugs other than marijuana was at Combs' Miami home. She said Combs gave her MDMA and told her she was now part of the Breakfast Club. She also described an incident at Burning Man where Combs had 3 plates with white powder, 1 with Molly, 1 with cocaine, and 1 with ketamine. Quote, people were taking turns going up and playing some guessing game on which they were actually snorting. Combs told Mia it was her turn, and she said she tried to protest, but Combs became very upset when she tried to fake taking the drugs and separated out the dose that he wanted her to take. Mia said she snorted the drug, which turned out to be ketamine, and then tried to blow some of it out when she was out of view. She testified she had never taken ketamine before, saying, quote, I didn't think I had a choice. She testified that Combs would switch between treating her like a best friend and abusing her. She described a night he threw spaghetti at her in detail. She testified Combs was set off when she tried to briefly go to her room before leaving his house to pick up some people at his request. Combs told her she needed to go immediately, and she said he went on a humiliating rant in front of a large group of people, eventually throwing a bowl of spaghetti at her and landed nearby and did not hit her. She said she then ran outside barefoot and hid in a bush until she went to a hotel later that night. She went on to tell of another occasion where Combs threw a computer at her head in his trailer on a music video set in Los Angeles. She said he was angry because the Wi-Fi didn't work. When she returned to the trailer to relay that a production assistant said they were working on it, he cut her off. Quote, he cut me off, started screaming at me that like I shouldn't come back here until I figured out this Wi-Fi myself. Something like, quote, I don't care if you have to call Bill Gates. And then he chucks the computer at my head. It just missed me. And she recalled that at that moment, she thought, wow, he meant to hit me. She ran out of the trailer and hid behind a luggage van. Mia testified she felt terrified, humiliated, and embarrassed when Combs was violent with her. Mia said the incidents she testified about were only some of the times Combs would throw things at her. She said when he threw things at her, she would often wonder if there was something wrong with me that I would make him so upset. She then recounted a time she said he grabbed her phone and ran off, injuring her as she tried to grab the device back and later threatening to use anything incriminating that he found. She said she was with Combs. They were at his Revolt Media Productions office when he borrowed her phone to make a call. And then when he was done with the call, he ran off rather than handing the phone back to her. Mia said she was scared Diddy would see a text she had recently sent to his stylist where she badmouthed Combs. So she chased after Diddy and he slammed her arm into a bathroom door multiple times while she tried to follow him. He eventually ran into the street outside and left, and that left Mia, incidentally, with a badly bruised arm she thought might have been broken. She said when she saw Combs later that day, he told her, quote, I wouldn't want someone going through my phone if I had what you had in there. And claimed, quote, I sent all of your compromising and inappropriate photos to my phone so that I got something on you, just in case you got something on me. And she added that she was relieved to know she didn't actually have anything compromising on the device. The jury then saw emails Mia sent to other staff members after the incident, where she asked for someone to pick her up because she was stranded without her phone. When asked what happened, Mia said in the emails it was a, quote, in-person story. And then if all this stuff I've already told you isn't disturbing enough, Mia revealed Combs sexually assaulted her. Mia said she had been working for Combs for a few months. She said he asked her to speak with him, and the two of them went in the kitchen of his home, and he told her she was doing a good job and didn't need to be nervous about coming to him with questions. He then offered her 2 shots. She said she remembered wondering if she had eaten beforehand because she took those 2 shots and it hit her really hard. She said she was then shocked when Combs leaned in to kiss her against the wall. Quote, "I was shocked. I froze. I couldn't even process what was happening." She said the next thing she remembered clearly is sitting in a chair in the main room of the penthouse as the sun came up. She said she thought it would never happen again, that Diddy had just been drunk, and that it was probably a huge accident. And she said she planned on never telling anyone. That incident occurred after Combs' 40th birthday celebration. She then testified about an occurrence at his apartment in New York. She said she didn't remember the exact date, but said she was relatively new at her job, and Mia said she was bringing Combs' bags to his apartment, and his security said something along the lines of, quote, "I've seen this before." She said when she got inside, Combs asked her to look something up on the computer, and then he sat down next to her, and she got a really weird vibe. She said Combs leaned over her and got very close, and she said her internal alarm bells went off. At that point, she asked to go to the bathroom, and when she came out, she just left the apartment. Then, on a third occasion, in 2009 or 2010, she said Sean Combs raped her. She said she was asleep in Combs' LA home, and Combs climbed on top of her. She said she was sleeping with the door unlocked because she wasn't allowed to lock it. She testified she was woken up by the weight of a person on top of me, and it was Combs. And she said Combs told her to be quiet and used one hand to get his pants off. She said Combs then put himself inside of me. And that's a quote. "I just froze. I didn't react. When asked how she felt, Mia said she was terrified, confused, and ashamed. It was just very quick, but it felt like forever." Mia went on to recount another time she said Combs sexually assaulted her at his home in Los Angeles. She said she was on the floor in his closet packing a bag when he assaulted her. Quote, "I felt like trash," adding that she felt scared and ashamed and like an idiot. She said the sexual assaults were always sporadic and didn't follow a pattern, but happened when Combs didn't have a girlfriend around. She said their dynamic was that there were never any boundaries. Quote, "It wasn't weird for me to be in his room at all hours of the night or waking him up or talking to him while he was on the toilet even." Mia testified she always thought there wouldn't be a next time because they were so random and spaced out, referring to the sexual assaults. Quote, "I always thought that the next time I would, if there were ever a next time, I would somehow be more prepared." Mia said after the sexual assaults, she would, quote, "keep it moving. There wasn't a time to stop, think, reflect, anything. Just keep it moving like it never happened." Prosecutor Madison Smizer then asked Mia if she ever told Combs no during the sexual assaults that she described, and Mia responded, "No, I only tried to squiggle out of them if I could." And Smizer asked why she didn't tell Combs no, and Mia responded, "I couldn't tell him no. Like about a sandwich. I couldn't tell him no about that either. I couldn't tell him no about anything." Going on to say she was afraid she would become a target. Quote, "He would fire me, ruin my future, and somehow twist the story into making me look like a threat." She also testified that another assistant had previously told Combs' chief of staff that she thought Combs had hit Cassie. Mia said that she was told there was an urgent phone call with a high-level employee to discuss how to handle the assistant. After the phone call, that assistant was fired. Mia said Combs later told her the assistant had filed a lawsuit, and Mia may need to take the stand against her regarding an incident where the assistant had punched her. Mia said she didn't end up testifying. Combs also told her she would have to testify when Capricorn Clark was fired. Quote, "He said if there was a lawsuit, I would have to get up on that stand and defend him and say, what he wanted me to say." She testified that she lived in constant fear of Combs physically harming her or following through on threats to ruin her reputation after he sexually assaulted her, saying she feared being attacked if she spoke out against Combs. Quote, "I didn't want to die or get hurt." Mia testified she was always afraid of being physically harmed by Combs if she ever told him no about anything, not just sex. Diddy also threatened to, quote, tell everybody about the encounters, including Mia's friend Cassie, who was dating Combs at the time. She went on to say, as though I had something to do with it. Mia felt so desperate, terrified, and trapped that she feared if she'd come forward, she'd be silenced, punished, even exiled from what she considered her second family, which was Bad Boy Records. She went on to say, I would have lost everything. And asked by the prosecutor why she didn't tell Human Resources about Diddy, Mia said Human Resources was not there to protect her and was only used by Combs to punish people who had crossed him. Quote, I was going to die with this. I didn't want anyone to know, ever. She also said she didn't think reporting the time she said Sean Diddy Combs sexually assaulted her to the police was even an option. She testified that she based this partly on some previous interactions she had with police. She described one time when a cop in LA let her go even though she was speeding without a license because she got Combs on the phone to talk to the officer. Mia testified about a separate time she and Combs were in a car that was pulled over by police in LA. Quote, the cops approached pretty aggressively, and once they saw Puff, they were like, oh my God. She said, indicating the cops were excited to see Combs. And the prosecutor pressed her again on not reporting those sexual assaults. And Mia said, quote, I didn't know that you had to tell the bad things that happened to you if nobody else saw them. She added that it was the most shameful thing of my life. She said part of the reason she's talking about it now is because, quote, when you're scared into silence, these things continue to happen to others. Mia said she absolutely did not want to be talking about the sexual assaults, but she said she felt she had a moral obligation to share those experiences. She said it's the most traumatizing, worst thing that has ever happened to me. And with that, time ran out and court was adjourned for the day. And we will pick it up with continued testimony from Mia tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening. Check out the Patreon, commercial-free early releases, bonus episodes, and much more. Patreon.com/exposed podcast files. And until next time, for Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite, I'm your host, Jim Chapman. Much love.